The alien research ship moved through the dark space between stars like a silver needle through black cloth. Inside the ship, 12 different species worked together in the name of science and peace. Chief xenobiologist Zethkar looked at the data screens with his 4 eyes. Each eye could see different types of light, and right now they all showed the same thing. Something new was coming. Zethkar had green skin that changed color when he was excited or worried. Today it was shifting between blue and purple, which meant he was both. His long fingers moved across the control panel as he called for his team. To gather in the main lab, Dr. Velthari arrived first. She was from a race called the Etherians, and her body looked like it was made of living light. She could float in the air, and her voice sounded like music when she spoke. Behind her came Shardsinger Quex, who looked like a walking crystal that sang when it moved. The sound was beautiful, but also strange. The biggest member of their team was Admiral Krextor. He belonged to the Saurian hegemony, a race that looked like giant lizards but walked on 2 legs. His scales were dark red and his eyes were yellow like fire. Most of his people were warriors, but Krextor had chosen to study other races instead of fighting them. "What have you found, Zethkar?" Dr. Velthari asked. Her voice made the air around her glow softly. Zethkar pointed to the big screen on the wall. "We have detected a new ship. It does not match any known design in our database. The energy signature suggests it comes from the small area of space that the locals call human territory." The other scientists moved closer to look at the data. For months they had been hearing stories about humans. Some traders said they were friendly. Others said they were dangerous. A few said they were both at the same time, which did not make sense to most aliens. Admiral Krextor stepped forward. His heavy feet made the floor shake a little. "Humans," he said in his deep voice that sounded like rocks falling. "We should leave this area immediately." Dr. Velthari turned to face him. "Admiral, you surprise me. Your people are known for being brave in battle. Why would you want to run from one small ship?" The big lizard-like alien looked uncomfortable. His scales changed color slightly, becoming darker. "There are many types of courage, Doctor. Sometimes the bravest thing is to walk away from a fight you do not understand." Before anyone could ask what he meant, their communications officer announced that the human ship was sending a message. The voice that came through their speakers was clear and friendly. "Greetings, unknown vessel. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the starship Defiance. We come in peace and friendship. Would you like to talk?" Zethkar looked at his team. In awe, his years of first contact missions, he had never heard aliens start a conversation so simply. Most species sent long messages full of warnings and formal language. The humans just said hello and asked if they wanted to talk. "Send a reply," Zethkar told his communications officer. "Tell them we are explorers and scientists from the Galactic Council. We would be honored to speak with them." The human response came back quickly. "That sounds great. We love meeting new people. Would you like to come aboard our ship? We can show you around and maybe share some food. Our cook makes excellent pizza." Several aliens looked confused. They did not know what pizza was, but the humans sounded excited about it. Dr. Velthari whispered to Shardsinger Quex. "They seem very open for a species we have never met before. Most races are more careful during first contact." Quex sang a quiet note that meant agreement. Perhaps they are simply friendly by nature, or perhaps they are very confident in their abilities. Admiral Krextor heard them talking. "Confidence can be dangerous," he said quietly, "especially when you do not know where it comes from." Captain Morrison's voice came through the speakers. Again. "We're sending over our basic ship information and some cultural data. Feel free to scan our outer hull if you want to check that we're not carrying any nasty surprises. We believe in being open with new friends." This made the alien scientists very interested. Most species guarded their technology secrets carefully. The humans were offering to let them scan their ship on the first day they met. "This is highly unusual," Dr. Velthari said. "Either they are incredibly trusting or they have nothing to hide because they have nothing worth hiding." "Or," said Admiral Krextor in a voice so low that only those closest to him could hear, "they have something else entirely." The data from the human ship began coming through their computers. Zethkar studied it with growing curiosity. The ship was called the USS Defiance, and it carried 200 humans. The captain was Jake Morrison, a man who appeared to be in his middle years. His crew included people with names like Lisa Kane, Ryan Brooks, Amy Foster, and Steve Carter. Their ship design looked simple compared to Galactic Council technology. The hull was made of basic metals. The weapons appeared to be simple kinetic projectiles that fired metal bullets. Their engines seemed to use standard fusion power with basic antimatter boosters. Fascinating, Dr. Velthari murmured as she looked at the data. They have achieved faster-than-light travel with technology that appears to be several hundred years behind our current standards. How is this possible? Shardsinger Quex sang a note of wonder. Perhaps they have found a different path to the same destination. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most elegant. Admiral Krexter was studying the data too, but his expression was troubled. His scales had turned almost black, which meant he was very worried about something. Captain Morrison sent another message. We'd love to have some of you folks come aboard for a proper welcome. We can give you a tour of the ship and maybe learn a bit about each other. What do you say? Zethkar looked at his team. The scientific part of his mind was excited about this opportunity. Humans were new to the galactic community, and studying them could provide valuable insights into how different species developed technology and culture. I believe we should accept their invitation, he said. This is why we are here, after all, to learn about new species and help them join the galactic community. Most of the team agreed, but Admiral Krextor stepped forward. I strongly advise against boarding their vessel, and I even more strongly advise against conducting any deep scans of their ship. Why? Dr. Velthari asked. They seem friendly enough, and they have offered to let us examine their technology. What possible harm could there be? The big alien looked at each of them in turn. His yellow eyes seemed to burn with an inner fire. Because some doors once opened cannot be closed again, and some knowledge changes the one who learns it. Despite his warnings, the team voted to accept the human invitation. They would send a small group aboard the human ship for a formal first contact ceremony. As they prepared to leave, Admiral Krextor made one final statement. If you must go, then go. But remember what I have told you. The humans may seem simple and friendly, but there are depths to them that even they may not fully understand. The alien delegation prepared to visit humanity for the first time, unaware that they were about to discover why even the smartest aliens in the galaxy had learned to be very careful around human warships. Dr. Velthari could not stop thinking about the humans. 3 days had passed since their first meeting, and every piece of data made her more curious. She floated in her private lab, surrounded by holographic displays that showed the human ship. From every angle, her research partner, Shardsinger Quex, hummed a melody of confusion as he studied the same information. The crystal being's song changed pitch when he was puzzled, and right now he sounded like a broken music box. Look at this, Dr. Velthari said, pointing to a display. Their hull is made of simple steel and titanium alloys. We stopped using such basic materials 5,000 years ago, yet somehow they travel between stars faster than many of our most advanced ships. Quex sang a low note that meant agreement. Their fusion reactors produce less energy than a Galactic Council shuttle, but they power a ship that weighs 10 times more. The mathematics do not work. Dr. Velthari had been invited aboard the human ship the day before. Captain Jake Morrison had welcomed her with a big smile and a warm handshake. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes that seemed to notice everything. His uniform was simple blue fabric with small metal badges. The human captain had introduced her to his crew with obvious pride. Chief Science Officer Lisa Kane was a woman with short brown hair who spoke quickly and laughed often. She had shown Dr. Velthari around the science labs, explaining human research methods with great enthusiasm. We believe in learning by doing, Lisa had said as she demonstrated a simple chemistry experiment. Sometimes the best discoveries come from trying things that seem impossible. Lieutenant Commander Amy Foster, the chief engineer, had given Dr. Velthari a tour of the engine room. Amy was a young woman with bright red hair tied back in a ponytail. She wore coveralls that were stained with oil and grease, and she smiled constantly as she talked about her beloved machines. These old fusion cores have been running for 15 years without a major breakdown, Amy had said, patting a large, metal cylinder that hummed with energy. They're not fancy, but they're reliable. Sometimes simple is better than complicated. Dr. Velthari had asked many questions about the human technology. Amy had answered most of them freely, explaining how their engines worked and how they maintained their systems. But the alien scientist noticed that Amy avoided certain areas of the ship, always finding reasons to take different routes that kept them away from particular sections. The most interesting human she had met was Commander Steve Carter, who was in charge of strategic operations. He was a man in his 40s with dark hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see through everything. Steve had asked her many questions about Galactic Council technology and military capabilities. "We're always eager to learn from more advanced civilizations," Steve had said with a friendly smile. "Human history shows us that the species who survive are the ones who adapt and grow. We want to understand how galactic politics work and what threats might exist out here." His questions had seemed innocent enough. He wanted to know about different alien weapons, defensive systems, and scanning technologies. Dr. Velthari had been happy to share basic information, thinking it would help humans integrate into galactic society. But now, thinking back on their conversations, she realized that Steve had learned far more from her than she had learned from him. Every answer she gave had led to more specific questions that revealed deeper details about alien capabilities. "Quex," she said to her crystal partner, "I think we need to conduct deeper scans of their vessel. There are too many mysteries here." "Quex," sang a worried note. "Admiral Krextor warned us against such action. His words carry the weight of experience." Dr. Velthari's light body flickered with annoyance. "Krextor refuses to explain his concerns. How can we make informed decisions without complete information? Science requires investigation, not superstition." She activated her personal scanning equipment, devices that could see through metal and energy fields to examine the inner workings of any technology. Her scans of the human ship's surface had revealed basic systems that matched what Amy Foster had shown her. But Dr. Velthari suspected there was more to discover. Meanwhile, aboard the human ship, Lieutenant Commander Amy Foster was meeting with Captain Morrison and Commander Carter in a secured briefing room. The room looked like any other part of the ship, with simple metal walls and basic furniture. But hidden behind the walls were layers of the most advanced scanning countermeasures humanity had ever developed. "The alien scientist is getting curious," Amy reported. "She's been asking very specific questions about our power distribution systems and structural engineering. I think she suspects we're not showing her everything." Captain Morrison nodded. "That's expected. Dr. Velthari has a reputation for being thorough. How much have we revealed so far?" "Only what's in the public areas," Amy replied. "The basic fusion systems, standard hull construction, and conventional weapons arrays. Everything she's seen matches the profile of a simple patrol vessel." Commander Carter leaned forward. "What about their military representative? Admiral Krextor seems to know something about us already." "The Saurians had contact with the Terran Defense Force about 8 years ago," Captain Morrison said. "A border incident near the Centauri colonies. Nothing hostile, but they learned enough to be cautious." Amy smiled. "Lucky for us. Most other species think the Saurians are just paranoid warriors. They discount Krextor's warnings as military overcaution." Back on the alien research ship, Dr. Velthari was preparing her most advanced scanning array. The device could penetrate through multiple layers of shielding and examine objects at the molecular level. She had used it to study ancient artifacts and mysterious technologies throughout the galaxy. "If the humans are hiding something, we'll find it," she told Quex. The crystal being sang a note of uncertainty. "Perhaps some secrets are meant to remain hidden. The humans have been very open with us. Maybe we should respect their privacy." Dr. Velthari paused in her preparations. Quex rarely questioned scientific investigation. His concern made her think about Admiral Krextor's warnings again. But her curiosity was stronger than her caution. The humans claimed to be simple explorers, but their technology made no sense. Their ship should not be able to travel at the speeds they demonstrated. Their power systems should not be able to support their operations. Something was missing from the equation. One deep scan, she decided, just to understand their basic propulsion system. If they are truly as open as they claim, they should not object to scientific study. She did not notice that her scanning preparations were being monitored by sensors hidden throughout her own ship. The humans had been tracking every move the aliens made since the first day of contact. On the bridge of the USS Defiance, a quiet alarm chimed. Lieutenant Tom Rogers, the communications specialist, looked up from his console. "Captain, the aliens are powering up some kind of advanced scanning array. The signatures match deep penetration analysis equipment." Captain Morrison exchanged a look with Commander Carter. They had been expecting this moment since the first contact protocol began. "How long until they're ready to scan?" Morrison asked. "Approximately 6 hours, sir. The energy buildup is gradual but consistent." Commander Carter smiled, but his eyes remained cold. "Perfect. That gives us time to prepare the appropriate response." Dr. Velthari worked through the night, calibrating her equipment and planning her scan patterns. She was excited about the possibility of solving the mystery of human technology. In her eagerness to learn, she did not consider that the humans might have mysteries of their own reasons for appearing so simple and harmless. The stage was set for a revelation that would change everything the aliens thought they knew about humanity. But the question remained: who would be more surprised by what the deep scans revealed? As both ships drifted through the darkness of space, the humans continued their friendly communications with the alien research team. They shared stories about Earth, offered cultural exchanges, and maintained their image as simple, peaceful explorers. But in the hidden depths of the USS Defiance, systems that no alien had ever seen began to activate in preparation for what was coming next. Admiral Krexter paced back and forth in the conference room like a caged animal. His heavy footsteps made the metal floor ring with each step. The other members of the research team sat around the curved table, watching him with growing concern. "You must listen to me," the big lizard-like alien said, his voice deep and urgent. "Dr. Velthari, I am begging you to stop this scan. Cancel your plans and leave human space immediately." Dr. Velthari floated at one end of the table, her light body glowing brighter than usual. This meant she was getting angry. "Admiral, you have given us no real reasons for your fears. You speak in riddles and warnings, but you provide no facts. Science cannot work on superstition alone." Chief xenobiologist Zethkar tried to keep peace between them. His green skin had turned a worried shade of brown. Perhaps Admiral Krextor could share more details about his previous encounters with humans. That might help us understand his concerns. Krextor stopped pacing and turned to face the group. His yellow eyes burned like fire in his dark red face. 8 years ago, a Saurian patrol fleet encountered human vessels near what they call the Centauri system. 3 of our ships against 1 human cruiser. The aliens leaned forward to listen. Krexter's people were known throughout the galaxy as fierce warriors. If they had fought humans, everyone wanted to know what happened. The human ship was smaller than any of ours, Krexter continued. It looked old and simple. Our commanders thought it would be easy to defeat if fighting became necessary. They were wrong. Shard Singer Quex hummed a note of curiosity. "Did they attack you?" "No," Krexter said, shaking his massive head. "They never fired a single shot. But somehow every weapon system on all 3 Saurian ships stopped working at the same time. Our shields failed. Our engines shut down. Our communications went dead." Dr. Velthari's glow dimmed as she considered this. "Some kind of electronic warfare? That is impressive, but not impossible. You do not understand," Krextor said, his voice getting quieter and more dangerous. "Our ships were not damaged. Every system simply stopped responding to commands. But the strangest part was that our sensors could not detect how the humans were doing it." He paused and looked at each alien in turn. "The human captain contacted us and apologized for the inconvenience. He said his ship's defensive systems had automatically responded to what they detected as hostile intent. Then he offered to help repair our ships and provide us with supplies for our journey home." The conference room fell silent. This story was not what any of them had expected to hear. "The Saurian commanders were suspicious," Krextor continued. "They thought it was a trap. but their ships were floating dead in space, and they had no choice but to accept human help. Zethkar leaned forward. What happened when they came aboard? The human ship? That is where the story becomes truly disturbing, Krextor said. The human crew was friendly and helpful. They fixed our ships quickly and efficiently. They shared food and stories. They acted like the whole incident was just a misunderstanding between neighbors. Dr. Velthari did not see why this was disturbing. They sound like a peaceful people who were defending themselves. Krextor's scales darkened until they were almost black. Dr. Velthari, those humans repaired technology they had never seen before. They fixed 3 different types of Saurian military systems in less than 2 hours. Systems that took our best engineers years to fully understand. The implications of this statement sank in slowly. If the humans could repair alien technology so quickly, it meant they understood it better than the aliens who built it. Furthermore, Krextor added, our technical analysis after the incident showed that the humans had not used any detectable energy weapons or electronic warfare devices. Our ships had simply stopped working, and none of our instruments could explain how or why. Shardsinger Quex sang a worried note. You believe they have technology that is beyond our ability to understand? I believe they have technology that is beyond our ability to detect, Krextor corrected, and that is far more dangerous. Despite these warnings, the research team voted to continue with their plan. Dr. Velthari argued that understanding human technology was too important for galactic science to ignore. Zethkar agreed that they needed more information before making any major decisions about humanity's place in galactic civilization. Only Admiral Krextor voted against the scan. As the meeting ended, he made one final statement. If you insist on proceeding, then at least promise me this. When you discover what you think you want to know, remember that some knowledge cannot be forgotten, and some secrets once revealed change everything. While the aliens debated, the humans continued their friendly communications. Captain Jake Morrison sent daily messages sharing information about human culture and history. His crew members took turns talking with the aliens about everything from human food to human music. Lieutenant Commander Amy Foster had become particularly popular with the alien scientists. She would spend hours explaining human engineering principles and showing them how different systems worked. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and even the most serious aliens found themselves smiling when she talked about her beloved machines. Commander Steve Carter continued his conversations with various aliens about galactic politics and military structures. He always seemed genuinely interested in learning about alien civilizations, and his questions helped the aliens feel important and knowledgeable. What the aliens did not realize was that every conversation was being carefully recorded and analyzed. The humans were building detailed profiles of each alien species, learning about their capabilities, their weaknesses, and their decision-making processes. On the bridge of the USS Defiance, Captain Morrison reviewed the latest intelligence reports with his senior staff. The data showed that the aliens were preparing for a major scanning operation that would begin within hours. Are we ready? Morrison asked his tactical officer, Lieutenant Ryan Brooks. Ryan was a young man with serious eyes and steady hands. He had trained for years to handle situations exactly like this one. All defensive systems are standing by, Captain. The aliens will see exactly what we want them to see, and nothing more. Chief Science Officer Lisa Kane looked up from her console. Captain, I'm detecting increased energy readings from the alien ship. Their scanning array is almost fully charged. Morrison nodded. Very well. Signal the crew to prepare for full defensive protocols, and send a message to Admiral Krextor on the alien ship. What should the message say, sir? Asked Communications Officer Tom Rogers. Morrison smiled, but his eyes remained cold and calculating. Tell him that some warnings are given out of wisdom, and that he was right to try to protect his colleagues from what they are about to discover. As the final preparations were made on both ships, the stage was set for a revelation that would forever change how the aliens viewed humanity. Dr. Velthari was about to get all the answers she had been seeking. The question was whether she would be happy with what she found. In the depths of space, Two ships drifted closer together, each carrying secrets that the other was about to discover. But only one side truly understood what was about to happen, and only one side was fully prepared for the consequences of their next actions. The scan would begin in less than 1 hour, and nothing would ever be the same again. Dr. Velthari activated her scanning array with the excitement of a child opening a birthday present. The powerful beams of energy shot out from her ship toward the human vessel, invisible to normal eyes but carrying enough power to see through solid metal and examine every bolt and wire inside the USS Defiance. Beginning deep structural scan, she announced to her team. Shardsinger Quex hummed nervously beside her, while Chief Xenobiologist Zethkar watched the data screens with growing interest. The first layer of scans showed exactly what they expected to see. Basic steel hull plating, simple fusion reactors, conventional weapons systems. Everything matched what Lieutenant Commander Amy Foster had shown them during their tour of the ship. Penetrating to secondary level, Dr. Velthari said, increasing the power of her scanners. The beams pushed deeper into the human ship, looking past the outer hull into the internal structure. That was when the first strange readings appeared. Quex, are you seeing this? Dr. Velthari asked, her light body flickering with confusion. The crystal being sang a note of bewilderment. The internal dimensions do not match the external measurements. The ship appears to have more space inside than should be physically possible. Zethkar moved closer to examine the data. His green skin had turned a pale yellow color, which meant he was very surprised. According to these readings, the human ship has 7 levels below the main deck. But our external scans show the ship is only tall enough for 3 levels. Dr. Velthari increased the power again, pushing her scanners to their maximum capacity. The beams penetrated deeper into the USS Defiance, revealing layer after layer of hidden technology. The simple fusion reactors that Amy Foster had proudly shown them were revealed to be something entirely different. The scanners detected antimatter containment fields, zero-point energy extractors, and power systems that used principles of physics the aliens did not recognize. This is impossible, Dr. Velthari whispered. The energy output from these systems should be 1,000 times greater than what we detected from outside the ship. Shardsinger Quex's song became high and worried. How are they hiding such massive energy signatures? Our sensors should have detected this level of power from light years away. The scan continued, revealing more impossible discoveries. The human weapon systems that appeared to be simple kinetic projectile launchers were actually something far more advanced. The scanners detected gravitational field manipulators, particle accelerators that could launch projectiles at near light speed and weapons that seemed to bend space itself. These are not conventional weapons, Zethkar said, his voice shaking. Some of these systems appear to be capable of destroying planets. But the most shocking discovery was yet to come. As the scanners penetrated to the deepest levels of the human ship, they began to detect the crew members themselves. What they found made all 3 aliens step back from their instruments in horror. The humans were not simply organic beings operating their ship manually. Each crew member was connected to the ship's systems through neural interfaces that were part biological and part quantum mechanical. The 200 humans aboard the USS Defiance were functioning as a single collective intelligence while still maintaining their individual personalities. They are networked together, Dr. Velthari said in amazement. The entire crew shares information instantaneously. Captain Morrison does not need to give orders because every crew member knows what needs to be done the moment he thinks it. Shardsinger Quex sang a note so low and frightened that it made the air itself vibrate. This level of integration should not be possible without losing individual consciousness. How do they maintain their separate identities while sharing a collective mind? The answer came as the scanners detected the final layer of human technology. Hidden throughout the ship were quantum processors that were more advanced than anything in the Galactic Council's databases. These computers were not just calculating numbers or storing information. They were actively managing the balance between individual human consciousness and collective intelligence in real time. But the most terrifying discovery was saved for last. As Dr. Velthari's scanners reached their deepest penetration, alarms began sounding throughout her laboratory. What is happening? Zethkar demanded. Dr. Velthari's light body was flickering rapidly between different colors as she tried to understand the data. The human ship is not just allowing our scan, it is actively responding to it. Their systems are analyzing our scanning methods and adapting their defenses in real time. On the view screen, they could see the USS Defiance beginning to change. The simple metal hull was shifting and reforming itself, revealing underlying structures that had been perfectly hidden moments before. Weapon ports opened along the ship's sides, energy fields began to glow around the hull, and massive sensor arrays extended from hidden compartments. It was all an illusion, Zethkar whispered. The entire ship we were looking at was a disguise. Shardsinger Quex's song became a wail of fear. They knew we were going to scan them. They prepared for this exact moment. Dr. Velthari realized with growing horror that every conversation they had shared with the humans, every piece of information they had exchanged, every technical detail they had discussed, had been carefully planned. The humans had been studying the aliens just as intensively as the aliens had been studying them. Commander Steve Carter had not been asking innocent questions about galactic politics and alien military capabilities. He had been conducting a detailed intelligence operation, learning about every species in the research team and their technological capabilities. Lieutenant Commander Amy Foster had not been sharing information about human engineering out of friendship. She had been carefully controlling what the aliens saw, while gathering data about their scanning methods and technical knowledge. Even Captain Jake Morrison's friendly conversations had been part of an elaborate psychological study, designed to learn how different alien species thought and made decisions. The scanning array suddenly went silent. All of Dr. Velthari's instruments stopped working at the same time, leaving her laboratory in darkness except for the emergency lighting. "What happened to our scanners?" she asked in panic. Zethkar was working frantically at his control panel. "All of our systems have shut down. Not damaged, not destroyed, just turned off. Just like what happened to the Saurian ships that Admiral Krextor told us about." A new voice came through their communication system. It was Captain Morrison, but his tone had changed completely. Gone was the friendly warmth they had grown used to. Now his voice was calm, professional, and slightly amused. "Dr. Velthari, I hope you found your scan educational. We have been monitoring your progress, and we are impressed by the sophistication of your scanning technology. We would like to compliment you on your thoroughness." Dr. Velthari found her voice. You knew we were going to scan your ship." "Of course we knew," Captain Morrison replied. "We have been expecting first contact with galactic civilization for over 50 years. Every human ship is equipped with sensors designed to detect alien scanning attempts and respond appropriately." "You have been lying to us," Zethkar accused. "We have been cautious," Morrison corrected. "We shared exactly as much truth as we felt was safe for a first meeting. Now that you have seen more of our capabilities, we can have a more honest conversation." The implications of this statement hit all three aliens at the same time. The humans had not been the simple, friendly explorers they pretended to be. They were something far more complex and potentially dangerous, and now the aliens had to decide what to do with the knowledge they had gained. But first, they had to figure out whether the humans would allow them to leave with that knowledge intact. The silence in the alien research ship lasted for several long minutes. Dr. Velthari, Shardsinger Quex, and Chief Xenobiologist Zethkar stared at their dark instruments, trying to understand what had just happened to them. Admiral Krextor entered the laboratory, his heavy footsteps echoing in the quiet room. His yellow eyes glowed in the dim emergency lighting, and his dark red scales looked almost black. "Now you understand," he said quietly. "Now you know why I warned you not to look too deeply into human secrets." Dr. Velthari's light body was flickering weakly. "Admiral, what have we done? What have we learned that we should not know?" Before Krextor could answer, Captain Morrison's voice came through their communication system again. This time, he sounded like the friendly man they had first met, but underneath his warm tone was something harder and more dangerous. "Would the alien research team like to come aboard our ship for a proper conversation? I think it's time we had an honest discussion about humanity and our place in galactic civilization. The four aliens looked at each other. They knew they had no choice but to accept the invitation. Their ship systems were still shut down, and they were floating helplessly in space next to a vessel that had just revealed itself to be far more powerful than anything they had imagined. 20 minutes later, they found themselves in the main conference room of the USS Defiance. The room looked the same as it had during their first visit, with simple metal walls and basic furniture. But now they knew that hidden behind those walls were layers of technology that made their own advanced systems look like primitive tools. Captain Jake Morrison sat at the head of the table, still wearing his simple blue uniform and friendly smile. But his kind eyes now seemed to see everything, and the aliens felt like insects under a microscope. Beside him sat his senior staff. Chief Science Officer Lisa Kane still looked enthusiastic and cheerful, but now her quick intelligence seemed more calculating than curious. Lieutenant Commander Amy Foster maintained her bright smile, but the aliens remembered that she had shown them exactly what she wanted them to see, nothing more and nothing less. Commander Steve Carter sat quietly, in the corner, watching the aliens with sharp eyes that missed nothing. His innocent questions about galactic politics now seemed like the careful probing of a master spy. "First," Captain Morrison said, "I want to apologize for the deception. We did not lie to you, but we certainly did not tell you the complete truth. I hope you can understand that this was necessary for everyone's safety." Admiral Krextor leaned forward. "Safety? You speak of safety while hiding weapons that could destroy worlds?" Morrison nodded seriously. "Yes, Admiral. That is exactly why we hide them. Humanity learned long ago that the best way to avoid fights is to make sure potential enemies never accurately assess our true capabilities." Lisa Kane spoke up, her voice still friendly, but now carrying an edge of authority. "Every species in the galaxy follows the same pattern when they encounter someone new. First, they evaluate the stranger's technology and military power. Then they decide whether that stranger is a threat, a potential ally, or a target for conquest." B.O. Foster added, "We realized that if we showed our real capabilities from the beginning, other species would either fear us or try to destroy us before we became too powerful. So we developed a different approach." Commander Carter finally spoke, his voice calm and measured. "We appear harmless until we understand who we are dealing with. We learn about alien psychology, technology, and intentions while they think they are studying primitive humans. By the time they realize what we really are, we already know everything we need to know about them." Dr. Velthari found her voice. "So every human ship is like this? All of your vessels are disguised weapons platforms?" "Not weapons platforms," Morrison corrected. "We prefer to think of them as mobile research laboratories. We study every species we encounter, learning their strengths, weaknesses, and cultural patterns. Most of the time, this knowledge helps us become better friends and allies." "And when it does not?" Zethkar asked quietly. Morrison's smile never changed, but his eyes grew colder. "Then we use what we have learned to protect ourselves and our allies. Humanity has many friends in the galaxy, Commander Zethkar. We intend to keep it that way." Shardsinger Quek sang a low note of understanding. "This is why Admiral Krextor warned us. The Saurian fleet that encountered you 8 years ago learned the same lesson we just learned. The Saurians were testing our defenses," Amy Foster explained. "They wanted to see if humans could be easily conquered or enslaved. When they discovered that we could disable their ships without firing a shot, they realized that attacking us would be a very bad idea." Admiral Krextor spoke with grudging respect. "And now they spread warnings about human capabilities to other species, making sure that no one else makes the same mistake." "Exactly," Morrison said. "The smartest aliens in the galaxy have learned that some knowledge comes with a price. When you truly understand what humanity is capable of, you also understand that you do not want us as enemies." Dr. Velthari's light body was now glowing steadily, but the color was different than before. She was no longer excited or curious. Now she was thoughtful and perhaps a little frightened. "What happens to us now?" she asked. "We have seen your secrets. We know what you really are." Morrison leaned back in his chair. That depends on what you plan to do with that knowledge. We hope you will choose to become our friends and allies. Humanity has much to offer galactic civilization, and we believe the galaxy has much to teach us as well. Lisa Kane added, "We are not conquerors or destroyers. We want to explore, learn, and grow alongside other species. But we also want to make sure that our children and grandchildren will be safe in a galaxy that can be dangerous for the unprepared." Commander Carter stood up and moved to a large display screen on the wall. With the touch of a button, he showed them star charts that revealed the true extent of human space. What the aliens had thought was a small territory around Earth was actually a vast network of colonies, outposts, and hidden facilities that stretched across dozens of star systems. "We have been preparing for galactic contact for 3 generations," Carter explained. "Every human ship, every colony, every outpost is designed to appear less advanced than it really is. We have been watching and learning about alien civilizations for decades before we announced our presence." Amy Foster smiled her bright engineer's smile. "The beautiful thing about appearing primitive is that everyone underestimates you. They tell you their secrets, show you their technology, and explain their weaknesses while thinking they are helping poor, backward humans catch up to galactic standards." Admiral Krexter made a sound that might have been laughter. "And by the time they realize their mistake, you know more about them than they know about themselves. Now you understand why even the smartest aliens decline to scan human warships," Morrison said, standing up to signal that the meeting was ending. "It is not because they are afraid of what they might find. It is because they are wise enough to know that some knowledge changes the relationship between the observer and the observed." Dr. Velthari floated upward slightly, a sign that she was reaching a decision. "We will not reveal what we have learned today. Humanity's secrets are safe with us." "We hoped you would make that choice," Morrison said with genuine warmth, returning to his voice. "Now, would you like to see what human technology can really do when we are not trying to hide it? I think you would find it quite educational." As the aliens agreed to this new demonstration, they finally understood the wisdom in Admiral Krextor's warnings. Some doors, once opened, could never be closed again. But sometimes, the knowledge gained was worth the price of innocence lost. Humanity had revealed itself to be not the simple explorers they pretended to be, but something far more complex and powerful. They were teachers and students, friends and guardians, peaceful explorers who carried the tools of war hidden beneath smiles and handshakes. The galaxy would never look quite the same to the alien research team. But perhaps, they thought, that was not necessarily a bad thing.